So once again, we're going to have our scenario there. And as I was communicating that we need to pay attention to a few things here. So one, drought condition.
Sekuya,
Yes, Teacher Stephen.
hello?
Yes, Teacher
Teacher
Stephen.
Godfrey.
Yes, Teacher Stephen.
Yes. Now you check here on your screen where you have the three dots. Are you able to see them?
Yeah.
Yes. Now there is something there. Are you seeing more?
Yeah.
Then are you seeing disable annotation?
Disable?
Are you seeing any of those?
Not really.
Teacher Godfrey, have you been able to see it? Where there are three, I'm going to ask Malik, please stop sharing. Otherwise, I will remove you from the meeting. Please don't try it on the screen. I'll remove you directly from the meeting. I think let me start removing people. Please, once you write on the screen, I'm removing you from the meeting. Teacher Segui, have you been able to see it?
I can't find it.
Kindly don't write on the screen. User, please stop. Wanyi. Teacher Segui, have you been able to see it?
I can't find it, Teacher Stephen.
Okay. Yes. Yes?
The various options I'm seeing, it's not there.
Okay. Let me be logging in using my phone as you start.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that we have to pay attention to two. So we have a condition for the wetland and we have the condition for the drought. So in whatever we have to think through, those are the lines we need to think through for the conditions that will influence the plant processes we expect to encounter here. Then we need to look for structure modifications in the scenario. And here you can see we have the small leaves with hairly thick lamina, and of course some shed their leaves. That is for the beans. Then for the maize, rolled its leaves during day and open them during the early morning. So those are all modifications. Then furthermore, when you look at the beans in the wetland, were seen to be stunted, having yellow leaves, and when uprooted, they had rotten roots. Those are also plant modifications which might be due to nutrient deficiency. So of course, the result to that were very poor yields for Mr. Mugabe. After a while, it rained. So now here we go to the application part where beans were seen to revive with the greener broad leaves, and the maize had many leaves, toad stems, and developed an extensive root system. So the plants produced yields after the rain. So having looked at the scenario, so we have our task here. So where we have to explain how the conditions affected Roman 1, normal functioning of plants in the upland, and then Roman 2 caused the effects of the plant in the wetland. So I want you to screenshot the task because I want to go back to the scenario such that people can construct for us some responses, especially for part A, Roman 1 and 2. And then we shall look at what the sample responses would look like. So I'll give you some 1 minute to try and screenshot the task. Then I'm going to go back to the scenario and then I'll invite people to give us some sample responses. Okay. So I'm going to invite now anyone who thinks you can give us some responses here. So I'm seeing here some people are already raising up their hand. So I will start with the cardiologist here. So the cardiologist, you can, oh, cardiologist has disappeared. Okay, Martha, you can unmute and give us your response.
Yes, so for item 1, part A, they're saying explain how the conditions affected the normal functioning of the plants in the uplands. And then you notice the plants in the uplands rolled their leaves during the day and opened them during the early morning. So this was obviously due to high temperatures. So hence you say due to heavy sunshine or high temperatures, it affected the rate of transpiration within the leaves, the plant leaves, hence affecting plant processes like photosynthesis and transpiration.
Thank you. You can mute now. Let us see who else here. I don't know whether this person called me. Are you raising up your hand? But let me start with Lawrence J. Lawrence J, you can unmute and give us your response.
I think the condition of shedding leaves was caused due to the drought that hit up the place. Okay, let me first rephrase it. The shedding of leaves was caused by drought, and this affected the process of germination of the beans.
Okay. You can mute. You are saying someone called iPhone here. Please, you can unmute and give your response. Okay, I think iPhone is not on. Chimera Simon Peter, you can unmute, give your response. Chimera has disappeared. Victory, unmute and give your response. Victory is not there. Kaden Doring.
Teacher, I'm here.
Okay.
Teacher, may I please see the task again shortly?
So we are
Okay.
still on Roman.
Roman 1. Okay. So the Roman asks how the conditions in the upland affected the normal functioning of the plant. And when they ask such a question, you're supposed to explain like those plant processes like transpiration, photosynthesis, translocation. And in the scenario, the conditions that prevailed in this upland include they had small leaves. For the answer of small leaves, you can say the plants produce small leaves which had less chlorophyll, thus reducing the surface area for trapping sunlight, which is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. Yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. All right, then I want us to turn our attention to how the wetland. That's Roman 2 then. So how they affected, caused the effects. I'll go to Letty. Letty, you can unmute and respond.
Yeah, I think since the bean plants were grown in the wetlands, this affected the plant nutrients. For example, the phosphates. So they were affected in a way that there was leaching. So the nutrients were forced to move down to the soil. And this made the plant to produce poor all.
Okay. Then I'm saying Leah here. You can unmute. Leah. Leah is right. Now you can go for
Yes, teacher. So for me, first of all, I think we have to correct something in the scenario. There is the beans in the upland were seen having small leaves. So I think it is the maize in the upland that, that had the small leaves because they told us the maize is the one that was grown in the upland. So that is one. Then now for my response, I think since they've told us how the conditions affected the normal functioning of the plants in the upland, I think we are going to first look at the fact that there is drought, because they tell us one of the signs that appeared. They tell us of the leaves rolled during day and open during the early morning. So we notice that since there is drought, during day there are dry conditions or high temperatures. So because of these high temperatures, we have increased or excess transpiration that is going to occur. And because of this excess transpiration, the plants lose a lot of water, which leads to them, let me say, wilting. And during this wilting, there is rolling of the leaves during day. So I think this is the reason. This is how now the condition, which is drought, affected the normal functioning, because if I'm to phrase my point, I'm going to say, due to the drought conditions, the process of transpiration was increased, leading to rolling of the leaves during day, thus reducing the rate of photosynthesis, or the rate of sunlight absorption, which led to reduced photosynthesis. Hence, little food was made, thus reduced growth, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Veron. Veron.
Okay, we're still talking about the leaves in the wetland, right?
I wanted us to go to the wetland.
Okay. In the wetland, there was water logging, which led to leaching of nitrogen, which is responsible for chlorophyll formation, thus leading to yellow leaves in the bean plants, causing reduced surface area for sunlight absorption, hence leading to low levels of photosynthesis, which affected the crop yields.
Okay. Good. User. User, you can unmute. Okay, user is not there. Steven. Steven is not ready. Martha.
For the wetlands, the roots.
Yes, Martha.
Yes, the roots obtained a lot of moisture, which encouraged bacterial growth, hence leading to root decay. Hence, processes like absorption of mineral salts and water were hindered.
Okay. All right. Having attained those responses, thank you. For others who wanted to generate their responses, you will allow me first go through something small here. Then you'll see whether your responses would be now. When you check, starting with someone, they said the beans in the upland. But before that, so Mr. Mugabe has a plot of land that extends towards the wetland, which he used for planting his crops. When drought hit up, he decided to grow some of his beans in the wetlands and grew the maize in the uplands away from the wetlands. The beans in the uplands, so that means some beans were in the uplands and others were in the wetlands. But for the maize, it was only in the uplands. So for someone who was saying that the beans were not there in the uplands, you can read the scenario critically. You realize that the beans were there in the uplands, but again, the beans were also grown in the wetlands. But in the wetlands, there was no maize. So maize was only grown in the uplands. So when we are talking about the uplands, here we are talking about, the beans and the maize. So when you look at that first task, which is asking you how the conditions affected normal functioning. Now, the effects on normal functioning resulted in two very poor yields. So in this case, in the uplands, we are going to talk about effects of the conditions on the in terms of producing the yield. Then eventually we have symptoms of deficiency. So when they ask you here how the conditions caused the effect on the plants in the wetlands, so there we shall not explain the effect on the normal functioning. So what would be the effect of rotten roots? What would be the effect of yellow leaves? We shall not explain that. We shall only concentrate on explaining how the conditions in the wetland cause the effect. For example, the yellow leaves, the stunted growth, and then eventually the rotten roots. And if we can take samples here, so for Roman 1, so if we have small, if the leaves were small, what is the effect of this? It reduces surface area for absorption of light. Another person may say carbon dioxide, reducing the rate of photosynthesis. As basic as that. We want the effect of this to normal functioning. So the conditions led to beans having small leaves. So what is the effect of that to the normal functioning? Reduce the surface area for absorption of light, or carbon dioxide, reducing the rate of photosynthesis. So if we affect the rate of photosynthesis, that means we are going to affect the yields that will be produced. So, and then you can see through, so you can screenshot the sample responses and you can modify with time in your free time. So I'll give you a minute to screenshot that. Then we go to the next slide. So where I'm using light or carbon dioxide, please you choose one. Don't use both. So you choose one. If you're using light, use light. If you're using carbon dioxide, you use carbon dioxide. But I would encourage that we can keep alternating them. You use light here, then use carbon dioxide here, then use light there, or use carbon dioxide. But not using one throughout. Though it may not have much effect, but it's much better to avoid contentions. Okay. Then when we go to the next one, so cause the effects on the plants in the wetlands. So we realize that the condition here is waterlogging in the wetlands, which is going to cause lack of nitrogen, and that will result into the poor protein formation, causing stunted growth. Then we have the waterlogging in the wetlands cause the lack of magnesium. So you realize that where we have nitrogen, you can have phosphorus there, you can have sulfur. So all of them can result into poor protein formation, and that will cause the stunted growth. So where we have magnesium, we can also have nitrogen, because both of them will result into poor chlorophyll formation, and that causes yellow leaves. And where we have lack of oxygen, then we shall have poor respiration, and that will cause rotten root. Someone put a response in the chat, and it was a good one. Let me try to see whether I can see it and read through it. Root decay since the water in the wetlands displaced oxygen in the soil. This caused the roots to carry out anaerobic respiration to produce energy. This led to production of ethanol into the roots, which destroyed the root cells, causing them to rot, which is okay. Yeah, that is okay, but it's just lengthened for no good reason. Due to drought conditions, there was a high rate of transpiration in the maize. This caused the cells of the leaves rusting, hence rolling during the day. Now, we are not explaining how the rolling came from, but we are explaining the effects of the rolling on the normal function. So for you, what you are doing here, someone who wrote this, I'm saying Chris. So what you did here was to explain how the rolling came about, but you didn't explain how the rolling, which is as a result of the drought conditions, affected the normal function, and it's what we are interested in. So we are interested in how the rolling affected the normal functioning, but not. Okay. Lindsay, I have a response. Waterlogged soils cause rotten roots, resulting into. Okay, we've already discussed that. So you can take a screenshot, just 1 minute, and we proceed to the next part. All right. Okay, now I'm going to invite. Okay, now I'm going to invite someone to take us through, explain how the plants manage to produce yields after it rains. So that was the part B, and I'll go back to. And then I'll go back to the scenario. So anyone who would like to take us through, you can raise up your hand for part B. Okay, I'm seeing Mary here. Mary, you can unmute and give us your response for part B.
Yes, so for part B, I think the plants were able to produce more yields and all that stuff through developing new roots, which enabled continuous absorption of water and dissolved mineral salts from the soil. Then even shedding off leaves to reduce the rate of water loss by transpiration. Then given
All right, thank you. Let us have also Shadia share. You can mute yourself, Mary.
All right. The plants were seen to revive with green broad leaves is where I'm going to concentrate on. These green broad leaves, it means that the number of chloroplasts were increased, which contain more chlorophyll, responsible for trapping sunlight. So in this, they were able to make more food for the plant, which enabled it to produce more yields. Thank you.
Okay. Vianney. Vianney, you can unmute and give us your response. Vianney is not there. Priscilla.
um the maize plants were able to produce yields because they developed stout stems. This enabled the the plant to increase in height. So it was able to compete for sunlight, yes, and other plants for nutrients.
Okay. We are having Galax S22. Can unmute and give us your response. Galaxy is not ready. Clancy. Clancy is gone. Benjamin.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you.
So that I'm giving an answer of that on the thought stems. So the thought stems developed new lateral buds that grew into branches with leaves that helped in photosynthesis with the development of the chloroplast, hence more yields.
Okay. Meat pie.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm good. So, the maize had many leaves that increased surface area. Sorry, the maize had many leaves that increased surface area for absorption of sunlight that helped in photosynthesis. Therefore, the plant was able to get enough food. Hence, good yields.
Okay, thank you. Xavier.
Okay, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you.
Um, the maize, the plants manage to produce yields after it
Seguya.
rained
Yes,
because
Teacher Seguya.
as
yes, teacher
Yes.
when
Steven.
it
Like
rains,
when you place on those 3 dots, are you able to see something like more?
I see more, but the options on more, I'm just seeing show captions, apps, disconnect audio, transfer to room, meeting info, host tools, and then settings.
Go to settings.
Now for settings, I'm saying meeting settings.
Meeting settings.
Hmm.
Are you seeing anything like annotation? Annotate?
No.
Which options are very
There is spelling,
Hmm.
captions and translations, and then audio. Those are the only
And then
settings. Audio.
audio. Okay, okay.
Maybe just help me if you can, just to take those people out. Those two are
Okay.
writing.
Okay.
All right. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Okay, I'll pick one person here. Let me see. Scott. Saying Scott here.
The green broad leaves, the breed green, excuse me,
Yeah.
the green broad leaves increase the surface area of the lamina, which increase surface area for trapping sunlight by chlorophyll, increasing the rate of photosynthesis, thus proper yields.
Right. That's good.
And the many leaves increase the number of stomata, which helped in the intake of carbon dioxide, which is a raw material for photosynthesis, thus increasing the rate of photosynthesis, hence proper yields.
Yeah, that's good too.
The extensive increase the surface area for absorption of mineral salts and water, which are raw material for photosynthesis, hence increasing the rate of photosynthesis, thus proper yields.
Very good. All right. So here we had greener. Now greener leaves, that is one. Broad leaves, that is another one. Then, okay, Remo is asking, I've been sharing the task previously. I thought you had screenshot. Then, many leaves for the maize and developed extensive root system for the maize. So that means those are 5 adaptations that we expect to write about, but the sample responses would look like someone who was asking about the task. So the task was to explain how the plants manage to produce yields after it rains. So because they are talking about after it rains, so there are some responses here which we shall not talk about. So we shall not talk about how the small leaves enabled them to survive. Oh, thank you, Steven. Then we shall not talk about how the hairy thick lamina helped them to survive, how the shading of the leaves helped them to survive, how the rolling of the leaves helped them to survive, how the leaves opening in the morning helped them to survive. Why? Because all that happened before it rained. So we shall only concentrate on those responses that are given to us under and after a while when it rains. So that's why our responses are only restricted to greener leaves, broad leaves, many leaves, tall stems, and then extensive root system developed. If I move here to that slide, so greener leaves which increase chlorophyll concentration, increasing amount of light absorbed for photosynthesis. So broad leaves which increase surface area for absorption of. Okay, someone is bringing in managed because of root nodules. Now that is a response which is not having evidence in the scenario. So when you are giving your responses, they should have evidence from the scenario. So we stick to what the scenario is giving us. Of course, maize developed extensive roots, and then you could add on the one for tall stem. Okay, so meaning your responses should be linked to photosynthesis as well as growth. So in the way you can manage. Okay, someone is asking, shouldn't we explain how the greener leaves came about? The question is how the plants manage to produce yield. So it's not asking the question of how they manage to behave the way they manage, the way they develop. So the response is supposed to be in how the greener leaves enabled them produce yield, not how they manage to grow greener leaves. So that would be a different task. Okay. So that was item 1. So unless if there is a question, I would like to go to item 2. So if you have a question, you put in a chat as we proceed to item 2. Okay, someone is asking, what about the tall stems? I've just said that these ones are sample, so you add the one for the tall stem. And people have been talking about it there. So tall stems can be elect stems and so on. All right. So this brings us to item 2. Can I say extensive roots by mitosis and hence being able? When you start talking about mitosis, is what I've explained earlier, that they will be explaining how the extensive roots came about, and it's not the question. So the question is on when they develop the extensive roots, how do they help the plant to absorb more water? Okay. So anyone who would like to take us through this to read for us, I'll pick one person here to read for us the item, as others we just follow through. So I'm seeing a Zoom user here. hope you are on to read for us that scenario. So the Zoom user, you can unmute and read for us. Okay, the Zoom user is not there. Let us have, hope the name is Kathleen. Kathleen, okay.
Harry is a carpenter in Nambye Manya village who is known as a regular alcohol taker and active smoker. One day, while in his workshop, he stepped on a sharp nail that caused him to jump off in a lot of pain, resulting into getting a fracture in his femur bone. He was rushed to the hospital, and when I think it's diagnosed, he was found to have low bone density, high blood sugar levels, damaged lungs, damaged liver, and damaged kidneys. According to the doctor, the results of the diagnosis were due to his lifestyle. Task.
So what we pick here, we know that this person, in terms of lifestyle, is an alcohol taker on a regular and an active smoker. So whatever we're going to explain, since the results of the diagnosis are linked to the lifestyle, they should be linked to regular alcohol taking and active smoking. And in this case, we are being told that this person is having low bone density, high blood sugar levels, damaged lungs, damaged liver, and damaged kidney. So those are the results of the diagnosis in the hospital. So what is our task here? Okay. So that's our task. I want us to screenshot the task. Let us screenshot the task in 1 minute so that I can go back to the scenario and we start trying to construct our responses. Okay, the cardiologist is doing part B. Thank you. All right. Hope we are done screenshotting. So I'll go back to the scenario such that we can pick up. So hope we are ready there. Zoom user, you disappointed on the other time. So let us go to Jacinta. Jacinta, you can unmute and give us your response. Jacinta is not there. Emanuela. Emanuela. Emanuela is not active. Mary. Mary is not there. Dina.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, you can give your response.
Teacher, could you first show the tag again?
So that's the task. We are on part A. Explain to Harry how the results were due to his lifestyle.
So, Harry got liver damage due to, because he is an alcohol taker and the alcohol basically washes away the and the alcohol damages the liver. I mean the liver.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next in line. Comfort.
I'm going to explain about the damaged liver. Since Harry is a regular alcohol taker, it led to overworking of the liver during continuous detoxification of substances in the alcohol, leading to damaging of the liver.
Okay, thank you. Let us have one other person to give us a response. Who here? Steven, the other time we are not active. I'm saying Bara. Bala, you can give your response. Bala is not ready. Eliana. Yana, are you there? Yana is not. I've seen someone here having my name, Jovan Seguia. Jovan Seguia, hope you are there. Jovan Seguia is not ready. Some Mr. Genius here. Mr. Genius, give us your response.
For me, I would like to talk about damaged lungs and liver. Due to active smoking, the smoke particles blocked the air sacs in the lungs, leading to damage of the lungs. For the liver, consumption of alcohol causes liver damage, like leading to diseases like liver cirrhosis and so on. That is my submission.
Oh, okay. All right, people are running away very fast. Okay, I still have Tendo here. Okay, I'll take one person, Laurent.
Yes, teacher. I would like to talk about sugar levels. And this is caused about by alcohol. The alcohol affects the pancreas, and it also affects the beta cells responsible for producing insulin, in which insulin is a hormone responsible for regulating the blood sugar levels. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, because of time, you will allow me. So you allow me to move on here. So we are having low bone density, high blood sugar levels, damaged lungs, Okay, damaged lungs, damaged liver, and damaged kidneys. Now, one thing you need to know is that in this case, we are testing effects. Oh, Nusula would like to contribute. Okay. But Nusula, I'm not seeing you in the... Nusula wanted to contribute something. Let me first look for her here. But I'm not seeing you in those who are raising up your hand, Nusula. Please raise up your hand so that it can be easy for me to see you. So cardiologist, I hope you are ready. Check up. Nusula, if you can unmute and contribute your response. Because for me, I'm not seeing this thing. Alternatively, you can put your response in the chat. I'll read it. Okay, I was saying, in this case, we just look at the effects of drugs on specific organs. So for that reason, we are not going to look at the physiology of the drug on the organ. For example, when you start talking of tab blocking the lines and so on, that one now is the response for item 6 and 7, which tests the physiology of the toxins on the body of a human being, where we look at human physiology. So here we just want the effects of the drug on the body. So in this case, we are given, for example, the drugs here in context, we have both the smoke and the alcohol. So we want to see how they affect. So for example, someone is talking of, okay, I'll read a few here, which I'm seeing they are good responses. If I fail to see yours, forgive me for that. Okay, so damaged lungs is due to smoking, which contains tar that destroys air sacs. So there you'll be now responding to item, you'll be responding to item 6 and 7. These damaged air sacs reduce the, so that will be a good response for item 6 and 7. Not this. High blood sugar was due to alcohol intake that damages the pancreas responsible for insulin production. Now you need to know diabetes as a result of lifestyle is usually attributed to failure of responsiveness, so that will not count. Smoking lowers amount of testosterone in men, which in turn leads to high parathyroid hormone levels in the body, leading to reabsorption of calcium from the bones, leading to low bone density. Yeah, that is okay, Shad. These ones of the alveoli, I've already explained that. Shad, you read postage. So nicotine and tar, they are carcinogens. That's not an area here. So someone is already answering. Low bone density is due to low intake of food rich in calcium. Okay, that can be a response, which is okay. Reduce the rate of absorption of calcium into the bones, hence causing low bone density. That is okay. Taking alcohol reduces calcium levels in the person's body, hence resulting in low bone density. That's okay. Alcohol affected the absorption of minerals like, that's okay. Yeah, thank you for the responses. I think majority of them were good when it comes to calcium absorption. Okay. All right. So part A, our responses would look like that. So we can take screenshots. Unfortunately, there is still some person who has consistently continued to write on the screen. But because of time, let us try to screenshot and we shall see how to go about it. Take a screenshot very fast so that we can now move to part B, where cardiologist is going to take us through part B, as I also read the response written by someone down there. Okay, the reverse responsiveness, that is very okay. I'm seeing someone has just posted one here. So instead of saying the liver's responsiveness, it's the cells that have to respond. All right. So cardiologists, come forward to give us the one for part B. I'm saying Sharif here. Let us first have the cardiologist, then we shall come to Sharif.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, cardiologist.
Yes. If you mind, could we go back to the scenario?
Okay.
So where part B comes, one day while in his workshop, he stepped on a sharp nail that caused him to jump off in a lot of pain, resulting into getting a fracture in his femur bone. So part B is asking us to explain the coordination that took place in Harry's body. We will start with the receptors. Yes, it is describe how Harry's body was coordinated from stepping to the nail to jumping up. We start with the receptors where the skin gets to feel the injured part. And when Harry's skin detected the pain, it sent a message to the brain through the sensory nerves to the brain, and the brain received the information and it interpreted it. It quickly made decisions and coordinated the response through the spinal cord. The spinal cord acted as a pathway for messages between the brain and the body. The nerves from the skin or the sensory nerves from the brain to the muscles. The leg received messages, and the leg received the message from the brain and contracted strongly to make Harry jump away. So I think that's how his body coordinated.
Okay. All right. Then we had Sharif. Yeah, Sharif, you wanted to contribute something, so you can unmute and add on where he has stopped.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you. You can proceed.
Okay, like much has been talked by the colleague, but me, at first, we could identify the stimuli, and that is the nail. Then the stimuli was received by the receptors. Those are the pain receptors, like the receptors or the receptor organ, and then turned them into the effector, which were converted into the impulses. Then these impulses were received by the sensory nerves to the central nervous system. So we can be specific, and we talk about the spinal cord for interpretation. Then these impulses were sent back to the muscles. Then he jumped off, because there were no things of breathing heavily, what and what to talk about the adrenal organ. So we talk about again the muscles. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So we have some good responses in the chat here. You can check around. So someone is saying pain receptors in Harry's foot were stimulated by stepping on the sharp nail. The pain receptors generated nerve impulses which traveled along the sensory neuron to the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, the impulse was relayed. Okay, they are supposed to be impulses were relayed to the motor neuron through the then neuron. So the motor neuron sent impulses to the flexor and extensor muscles in the leg, causing Harry to jump. Hamstring and aren't we supposed to talk about hamstring and the quadriceps? Not necessarily. This is just a coordination question. So being a coordination question, we may not. Okay. So we are just looking at how the body coordinated. When it comes to the muscles, you just need to talk about them contracting and relaxing, causing him to jump. When Harry stepped on the sharp nail, the pain receptors in the skin were stimulated. The receptors generated nerve impulses, which were transmitted by the sensory neuron to the spinal cord. The impulse was passed through the neuron to the motor neuron. The motor neuron transmitted the impulse to the leg muscles, which acted as effectors. The muscles contracted. Yeah, this is a very good response from Ronald. Remo, good response from Aria. All right. Okay. So that's what is in the chat. You can go further and read through. There are some good responses there. Now, one thing you need to know, impulses here will not move to the brain, because this is a reflex action and it is a spinal reflex. So that's why, okay, someone is still standing. Someone can't see the chat. Please try it final. I think let us first be listening, because some of the questions you're asking in the chat are the ones I'm talking about. So we are saying this is a spinal reflex, implying that the brain will not be included. And now the challenge with such an item, such a task, where you stop being correct is where the scoring stops. So whatever that proceeds the work will not be captured. Okay. Now for the receptors, you can talk of sensory receptors, pain receptors, mechanoreceptors, and so on. So I may not go so specific. Sensory receptors may be enough. So the stimulus here, which is coming from the nail, is going to be the mechanical pressure. Then we shall have the receptor organ as the skin of the foot. Then the responsibility of the skin is to turn the mechanical pressure into a pain sensation. Just like we can turn the light rays from a given object into an image at the retina. Then the pain sensation is converted into impulses by the sensory receptors. Now the impulses are carried by the sensory neuron or the sensory nerve to the central nervous system or the spinal cord. Now the reason why I started with the central nervous system, so just in case you are not sure whether the impulses are going to the spinal cord or to the brain, then maybe to avoid committing to error, you can go with central nervous system. But if you know that they go here, you can now go either the brain or the spinal cord. Then impulses sent to the muscle in the leg through synapses between the relay neuron and the motor neuron. The muscles are stimulated to contract and relax, causing movement, allowing him to jump. Okay, you can remove the her because it was him. All right. So those sending in the, so we can take a screenshot of the sample response and then you can modify according to. So you remove the her, is allowing him to jump. So please, when you requested to take the screenshot, take it so that when we shift to the next one, you don't again take us back to the previous one. So take a minute and take the screenshot. I hope we are taking screenshots and maybe a few who may be writing. Someone is asking why mechanoreceptors, not pain receptors. I think I talked about that. You can say sensory receptors, you can say mechanoreceptors, you can say pain receptors. All right. So let us go to part C. So what if you say receptors only? That may be so generic, but yeah, may be contention. Someone is asking, could you please answer? I don't know answer what, because I've answered majority of the questions I've seen. So I want to advise Harry on how he can overcome the effects of his lifestyle. I think some people are attending different. Now someone is asking for codes used. Are you going to forward? Oh, someone is asking, is there interpretation? That's okay. You can include the interpretation. Please, we are not going to talk about codes here, the UE and AEs. Okay, I'll pick only 3 people to give us some responses for part C, and then we move. Okay, I hope, Dina, this time you are ready. Okay, Chimera, Simon Peter.
Thank you, Master. My first answer is Enule should avoid all of you see taking alcohol such that is not affected or should not or to prevent over damaging of his lungs and over damage of his liver and the kidney. Also, Enule should avoid smoking in order to prevent to prevent deposition of toxins or water in the body. The last thing is Henry should participate or should make his should participate in sports such that he always make himself busy and to prevent himself from bad peers. That is my response, Master.
Okay, thank you. So we shall go to Victory.
Reducing what? I know getting full rating, reducing full reducing carbohydrates.
Victory.
We're still muted.
Victory is not there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Master.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm fine. On my side, I would suggest Harley to go to visit rehabilitation centers so that I would suggest Harry to visit rehabilitation centers to be guided and counseled so as to reduce the effects of alcohol. That is
Okay. Just your first mute, sorry, first unmute again and repeat.
I was saying
Hmm.
Ali should visit rehabilitation centers where he will be guided and counseled, thus reducing the effects associated with alcohol intake.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, and lastly, I'll go to Doreen.
Now, you hadn't granted me permission to speak earlier. Can I still give my answer?
Yes, you can give.
Okay. So Harry should eat food rich in calcium. For example, leafy vegetables to increase the amount of calcium in his body, thus increasing his bone density. Harry should also get involved in regular physical exercise to utilize the glucose in his blood, thus reducing his blood sugar levels.
Okay. Adding the word exercise is very important.
Okay.
All right. Okay. How should we address it? Should go for medical treatment? Okay. So I think we can now proceed to the sample responses because I'm seeing people are giving some good responses in the chat. So those are a few that you could think of, but there are of course very many others. So you can take a screenshot and compare with what you had. How you should take insulin shots? Not really, because this is not a type 1 kind of diabetes. So that won't be a response that is correct. Should engage in safe physical activities as advised. That is okay. Please take screenshots because we want to go to the next item. All right. So that brings us, Jojo Case has a question. You can put it in the chat. I'll respond. Okay, that is the question that we have. Let us take a look through briefly. Take a screenshot if you can. Okay, Jojo is asking, is the is was there anything to do with fears? Please reconstruct your question. I really couldn't get it well. So hope we've taken a screenshot already. All right, so we have John and Mary who have been married for some good years, and then they visited the hospital for fertility tests because they couldn't get a child. And the question, was there anything to deal with peer influence? Not really. So that means, okay. So we have John having low testosterone, headless palms, damaged epididymis. Oh, someone is still asking about the, okay, I think at the end I'll come back. Okay, the philosopher wants to read here. Just give him a chance. So the philosopher, you can unmute and read. The philosopher, you can unmute and read because you wanted to read. Otherwise, you raise up your hand so that I can see here. Okay. Okay. Philosopher, unmute and read.
Okay, I'm reading. John and Mary have been married for 6 years but failed to get children. They visited the hospital for fertility tests and their results were as below. John, low testosterone, hairless palms, damaged epididymis. Mary, low luteinizing hormone, blocked oviduct, damaged ovaries. The couple got treated and managed to get a child. But on their surprise, the baby was found to have scanty hair, pink eyes, and lacked melanin in his skin. John got disturbed how the two normal parents could produce such a child, and thus blamed Mary to cheat on him. He engaged in sexual encounters with many women in the village, and recently he was found to be HIV positive, while Mary continues to have HIV negative. Let us.
Okay, so thank you for that. So meaning that we are having those test results up there, which are responsible for why they were not getting the child. And then after getting treated, they were able to get the child, but unfortunately the child they got was of that type as described there. So we want now to go to the task. I'll shift here briefly so you can take a screenshot of the task, and then we can now get into the responding. So I'm giving you some 1 minute to take screenshot. Okay. So that's the task we have at hand. We want to explain to the couple how their health conditions were responsible for the failure to get a child for 6 years of their marriage. So we go back here on the scenario and we can see the test results, what they are telling us here. So I'll pick 3 people to give us some sample responses. Others we can put in the chat and I'll be able to read subsequently. I want to get, okay, I'm saying Abel Ajak. Abel Ajak. Okay, Ajak is not there. Okay, she's here.
Okay,
Yes,
sir. Could you please take me back to the task?
The task is asking you to explain to the couple how their health conditions were responsible for the failure to get a child for 6 years of their marriage.
Okay, sir. I would say, like, the woman, Mary had low luteinizing hormone. So this low luteinizing hormone was making her unable to ovulate. So if she doesn't ovulate, it means that there will be no production of the ova.
Okay. Okay. So I'll pick one person here. Want to first get some people haven't contributed. Okay, Diana. Diana has been waiting for long. Eliana, you can unmute and respond.
Teacher.
Eliana, you're with.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Fine. Teacher, I think the damaged ovaries, Mary was not able to
the damaged ovaries of Mary were not able to release ovules, the eggs for fertilization. That's why they were unable to have a baby for the 6 years.
Okay. I'm saying there
Yes.
is J. Are you still on? Are you still continuing?
I'm not teacher, that's what I heard.
Yeah, you can mute. I'm seeing Fifi J here. Fifi J, if you are on, please unmute and give us your response. I think Fifi J is not ready. Let us go to general. General is not ready. Okay, there is Shad here. Shad, you can unmute and give us your response. Shad is not there. Okay. Let me have Keza. That one is not also there. Okay, Frank.
I'm there.
Okay, Keza, you can proceed.
So John had headless sperms. Therefore, fertilization did not occur because the heads are meant to penetrate the ova for fertilization. Thus, they could not bear a child.
Okay. Lastly, we shall go with Sammy. Sammy. Sammy is not ready. Let me have Davis.
Master.
Davis, are you there? Okay.
Yes, Master, I'm there. Since the oviducts were blocked here, when the ovum was formed, it was not able to move. Where since fertilization can take place in the oviducts, even if the sperm could not get fertilized. So
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the responses. Let me check people in the chat. Low testosterone, difficult for John to experience male sexual reproductive characteristics. Okay. Normal sperm production. Okay. So whereby low levels can be reduce the number of sperm produced. Okay. The blocked oviducts talk to the normal sperm production. Oh, am I having the right words here? The blocked oviducts talk to the passage of the sperms to the ovaries. Hence fertilization could not take place. Fertilization doesn't take place in the ovaries. Maybe you could say to the ovum. Mary had ovaries. This hindered the production of hormones like progesterone, which favor pregnancy. Okay. are not satisfying. John produced headless sperms, which meant he did not release any male gametes that can form a zygote when fused with the eggs. Yes, therefore, failure. All right. So I'll share some of the sample responses here, and you can take screenshots. So if you have lost testosterone, that causes low sperm production by John. Headless sperms produced by John cause failure to fertilize the ovum. Damage the epididymis, cause failure of maturation of sperms or spermiogenesis. Okay. Luteinizing hormone produced by Mary cause failure for ovulation to take place. Blocked oviducts, as people have said, prevented access to the sperm of the ovum for fertilization. Damaged ovaries in Mary cause failure to produce the ova to be fertilized by a sperm. So it could be as basic as that. We just needed to look at which function of whatever that is mentioned was prevented, and that was it. Yeah. So no much details needed here of how fertilization occurs, of how ovulation occurs, of how menstruation occurs. Nothing of that kind is needed. We just need to know how the health condition is responsible for failure to get the child, meaning which function is prevented that would have resulted into formation of the zygote. As simple as that. Let us take the screenshots very fast as we proceed to the next thing. Okay, for this next one, I'll not call in people, but I'll just share. Yeah, someone is asking where does fertilization occur? Fertilization occurs in the oviduct. So I recall that we can have genetic symbols done. Now, my emphasis here, as I emphasized in the previous facilitation we had, is that make sure your late statements are really right. Because if the late statements are not correct, then definitely we shall not have any scores for anything below. Someone is trying to draw the lines here. Okay. So you pick a letter, ensure that the letter you pick, you can easily write the capital letter and the small letter distinctively. So letters like T, S, which may bring issues in writing the capital and the capital and the small letter, you may choose to ignore them. So even if, let's say, the item is about sickle cell, it's very okay to use any other letter that you can write, let's say capital B and small b, where you can easily write the letters separately. Okay. Please, if you have a question, first put it in the chat. I'm going to come back and read them. Then the letter should be representing the allele, but the allele should not be a letter. For example, you shouldn't say, let the allele for normal skin color be A, because the allele can never be the letter. So the letter can only represent the allele for a certain characteristic. So in this case, we can have normal skin color and then abnormal skin color. You can have normal eye color and then maybe the pink eye color. So teacher, how are we supposed to know if one is a carrier? So in this case, if you have a characteristic whereby two normal individuals are giving a characteristic which is recessive in the offsprings, then definitely we end up having the two parents heterozygous, implying that the allele for the recessive characteristic for this case, for example, albinism, is present in both parents, but it is being suppressed by the dominant allele, which is normal. So every time we have two normal individuals who are giving a child with a recessive characteristic, then definitely that's where we know that the parents genotypically they are heterozygous or carriers. Someone is asking, so teacher, does that mean even in hemophilia we are supposed? Now, hemophilia, color blindness, they are sex-linked traits. Their alleles are supposed to be carried on the X and Y chromosome. But these other characteristics, other than those ones, they just show normal dominance. So the normal monohybrid inheritance. Shanice, I don't know what your question was. Then the explanation that you must add after. Already the genetic process are the explanation. How about if you see the challenge questions keep coming in as I see. How about if you use XY for man? I've already said that that is only for the traits which are carried on the XX chromosome. And I've said there we only have hemophilia and color blindness for the syllabus we follow. So unless if you're dealing with hemophilia and color blindness, they are the only ones that you're going to put on the X chromosomes. Other than that, these other ones they proceed normally, including sickle cell. So you can ignore the HB things, HBS, HBA. So you can just go with, let's say, a capital H and a small h, something like that. But as I've said, ensure that whatever you're going to do, you can write the symbols clearly. Please, someone who is drawing the symbols, stop drawing, because whatever you are drawing is not making much sense. So thank you for the try. So then, once you have the genotype, you should show the arrow or the process of producing the gametes, that is meiosis. Then the gametes should be put in a circle to show that they are cells. Then we shall have crossings. Now for the crossings, you can use the normal crossings or you can use a Punnett square where you just put everything in a square, but it's much easier to use the process, and that will be random fertilization. I think these letters follow and listen critically, because I've said that color blindness and hemophilia, they are the only sex-linked traits in the syllabus that we cover. So if you ever put anything else which is not to do with color blindness and hemophilia on the X and Y chromosome, then you're wrong. As basic as that. Any other traits, they will just be normal traits. Unless if you're doing as simple as that. Then, is it a must to include the word random fertilization to avoid contention? It's much better because we also have selective fertilization. So if I do selective fertilization, I can choose my personal way of fertilization. But the fertilization expected here, for results to be authentic, it should be random fertilization. Okay. With someone who is writing, better write your whatever you are asking in the Okay, so at the end, you need to show the possibility. Crosses on codominance asking, no, they are not in the syllabus. You can just have knowledge because you'll need the knowledge in A-level biology if you do it, but for this level, they are not assessed. Multiple alleles like blood group, you can have knowledge, but they are not assessed. So you should be mindful. Okay, let us now go to the next slide. First time is running. If I just okay, you can take a screenshot. So you can take a screenshot on how to advise on the challenges they are facing. So remember, we have Mary, who is having a child that is having albinism. Then we have John, who is HIV positive. And then we also have Mary, who is HIV negative. So we need to ensure that the baby is taken care of. Then the father is also taken care of in his positive state. And then the mother also continues to stay negative. So in case of the child, we can talk of getting the sunscreen creams, food rich in vitamin D, seeking guidance. So you can take a screenshot because this is content you already have in the book. How can we have only explained the abnormal skin? Okay, the characteristics will have, the characteristics will be for the condition of albinism. So I just picked one. So you can pick, you can pick, and I had already talked about that you can pick the pink eyes, you can pick the scanty hair, you could pick the skin, the skin formation. Boosting immunity. Now, this person, immunity may not be a major issue. We want to specifically look at those areas, unless if they are talking of the baby over getting sick and so on. But that would be contention if you talk of vitamin C to boost immunity. All right, we go to the next slide and you take a screenshot. So maybe for immunity, if you're talking of John, that would be okay, and not the baby. How many responses? Just write as many as you can, as long as you are within the time. So look at the space, write as many as you can, as long as they fit in the spaces provided. And then maybe when time allows, you can come back and add more. But you just ensure that you look at how much time you are using when you are responding. So take a screenshot on that so that we can go to part D. Okay, a minimum of how many responses? I'll say if you can generate 5, you generate 5. But there are some scenarios where you find you can only generate 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But for such open scenarios like this one where you can have a number of them, then you can generate, as long as you reach 5, then you can first leave and then go complete other things, then can come back and fill the space. Remember, item 3 is written in the space provided. So even the space will dictate. You may have very many, but you should ensure they fit in the space provided. So the space provided will dictate how much you can go as the maximum. All right. So that is section A. And for section B, someone is asking down this, how do we determine the probability? How many of the offsprings we have? There are 4. How many are possibly having albinism? It's only 1. So 1 divided by 4, that's the probability. Alternatively, you can convert it to percentage by multiplying with 100, which will give us 25. All right. So we have section B here, and that's the item. Unfortunately, because of time, we're going to do only item 4. Maybe if God wishes, we shall start from there. So let me have anyone to read. Let me check here. Okay, I'm seeing Lucky here. Lucky, can you unmute and respond and read? Lucky? All right. Okay, so that is our. Okay, Naguja wants to read. You can read, Naguja. Naguja, can unmute and read.
Good evening, teacher. Due to the increasing population in Bulambuli village, the village council decided to give the nearby wetland to the people to settle there and construct homes. However, due to lack of space, many homes have no latrine, thus dispose their fecal matter in the wetland space that remained. Recently, it has been observed that cases of malaria, snake attacks, flooding, and cholera. According to the village health officer, these problems have begun brought by the activities of the people on the wetland. Task.
Okay. Now, as you can mute, as we talked about previously, we say that when you are attempting scenarios in this area, you should ensure that you understand, is it an open scenario or is it a closed scenario? And we said, how do you know that it's an open scenario? That is when you realize that they've just not mentioned any problems and they are just telling you that people faced a number of problems. But if within the scenario they are specifically giving you, certain problems, then that means it's a closed scenario, and whatever you're going to talk about should be restricted to those problems mentioned in the scenario. So in this case, we have the cases of malaria, snake attacks, flooding, and cholera. So anything you explain outside those four will not be scored. So that's why I told you that the maximum number of points you can give cannot be generalized, because now, for instance, here the maximum you expected to have are 4. A response on cases of malaria, a response on snake attacks, a response on flooding, and a response on cholera. So if you go out and give a 51, a 61, a 71, definitely you would have either repeated or you're giving something outside the scenario and it won't be scored. So then you need to look at the activities that are happening here so that we can link the activities to the problems and show how the activities brought the problem. So our task is going to be that. So we want to explain. So we want to explain how the activities of the people are responsible for the problems faced by the village. And then later we shall explain why it is important to conserve their environment. All right. So let us take a screenshot of the task because I want to go back to the scenario. Okay. All right. So that is our scenario. So I'd like to have 3 people to give us some responses and we build on those. Seeing Sasha Gloria leading the charge here. Sasha Gloria, can you unmute and give your response? Sasha Gloria is not there. Seeing Basi. Basi, you can unmute and give your response.
Mine is a question.
Okay.
Mine is a question. Okay, not for you. I already wanted to ask a question about the genetic crossing and that.
Oh.
Okay, like I was told before crossing and before letting the allele, aren't you supposed to explain before all that?
Already the genetic symbols, it's an explanation.
So there is no need to explain the
There is no need.
whatever happened.
There's no need. Already the genetic symbols, they are the explanation.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, you can mute. Doreen, can you unmute and give us a response?
Okay. Mine is like flooding. It gave room for stagnant water, which allowed vectors to breathe in, hence leading to the spread of malaria. Thanks.
First repeat.
I said, okay, the flooding in the area, it gave room for stagnant water, which gave room for vectors like mosquitoes to breathe in, hence leading to the spread of malaria in the area.
Okay. Now the challenge in that. Okay, I'll respond to that. Let me first get someone else here. Okay, John Grace. John Grace, you can unmute and give us the response. John Grace is not ready. Eliana. Okay. Abby. Okay, Eliana is up. Okay, okay, let us start with Eliana, then Abby will come in after. Eliana, give. Eliana. Eliana, can you give your response? Okay, Abby, you can come in.
Settlement in the wetlands led to the destruction of water catchment areas, which led to flooding.
Thank you. That's right. Marjorie, you can mute, Abby. Marjorie, you can come through. Okay, Marjorie is not ready. Jojo.
Yeah, for me, I would suggest that construction of in the wetland resulted destroyed the construction of homes in the wetland destroyed the catchment areas for water, hence resulting into flooding, which is a breeding area for mosquitoes, thus increasing the rate at which malaria is spread to the people.
Okay. Thank you. Oh. So, Emanuela, sorry, you can first put your hand up again. Emanuela, you can put your hand up again. I put it down. Then, okay, Simon.
Thank you. Good evening, Master.
Good evening. Yeah.
My response is that destroying of wetland caused the snake attacks, which led to it should be like this, that destroying of wetlands caused destroy the habitat for the snake, hence causing snake attacks. Another thing, removing of wetland or destroying of wetlands expose the soil to agents of soil erosion, hence leading to flooding. And my last answer is that disposal of fecal matter in the wetland polluted the water, hence causing cholera. Those are my answer, Master.
All right. Okay, I'm seeing like here. Aikoru, you can give your response and then shall proceed.
Disposal of their waste, of their fecal matter in the wetland cause contamination of water, hence leading to cholera.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the responses. So I'll show the samples here so you can take some screenshots. Yeah, majority of them people had already talked about them. Take screenshots very fast and we go to part B. Okay, so when it comes to why it is important to conserve the environment, I need to cite out the conserve. For example, here we have wetlands. We give the function as resource. So you can, first you can come up with answers. However, when you are giving your responses, avoid giving responses which are less or none. Someone is still asking what are the minimum responses. I think I'll spend time. So when you are giving, avoid responses like wetlands provide papyrus. Now those are responses for chemistry, natural resources. Here we look at environmental friendly. So removing papyrus, that is degradation of the wetland. So for biology, conservation of biology, it's going to be a response that is correct. Saying maybe wetlands are used for agriculture, that may not also be an environmental friendly one, that is not used. So I need to look at the usefulness of the resource, but in a sense that is biologically conservative. All right. So those taking screenshots, please take screenshots. Oh, okay. I've maybe once again, I've said the responses. Usually, if you can have a number of responses, then you can just at least give 5 and then proceed to the next area. If you're done, you can come back. Like now, this one, you write on answer sheets provided or booklet. So for them, you can write as many. But for section A, I said, remember those responses are supposed to be written in the space provided. So you first write, if you can get more than 5, first write 5, proceed. Then after, come back and then add more, as long as they fit in a space provided, because anything which will be outside that space may not be scored. Okay. Maybe for this one, we are not going to discuss it. I want us to see just the difference between someone is asking the above question. I don't know which question. Okay. I think it will be sent to the WhatsApp and it is going to be. So can we mention death of species? It's not mentioned in the scenario. Now, when you look at this one, oh, someone is asking for the previous one. Can we talk about dialysis and vitamin D? Not really. Okay. Given vegetation reserve, which is near, so it is given to an investor to provide more employment opportunities. The local investor creates the vegetation activity and establish the fertilizer manufacturing plant. One side, that is another activity, and they grow maize on a large scale, season after season on the other side. Continuously using herbicides to kill, excessively using fertilizers, and then burning the bushes whenever they are preparing for the next season. So this has caused a number of problems to the people in. So this is what I wanted us to capture. So here you are given various activities and they are telling you they've resulted into a number of problems. So it's not providing problem that is talked about. So that's where now you have to get every activity at this to a problem of betrayal. If I go to the task, so you have to explain how the activities of the investor have affected the people in the sub-county. Then after advise the community on how to overcome the problems they are facing. So as we've said, here you are the one to dictate which problems you're going to use. And I constructed a few samples here, so we may not dwell so much on them. So when I look at just clearing vegetation, so clearing vegetation removed the trees that acted as windy breaks, causing strong wind. That can be my response. Another person may use removed trees that acted as windy breaks, causing soil erosion by wind. That is another person's response. Clearing vegetation removed the trees, causing attacks from wild animals due to destruction of their habitat. That is another response. So meaning one activity here can have three different problems that it's bringing about. But to be on a safe side, every activity link it to one problem and then go to other things. So don't get clearing vegetation and write three different responses on clearing vegetation. So that may be repetition of the activity. So every activity link it to one problem, then go to another activity. So growing maize on large scale, season after season, cause the soil infertility due to oxidation of certain nutrients from the soil. So that can be one response. But another person may choose to say, cause the soil erosion due to loosening of the soil structure. So that can be someone else. So that means we can have two there, but on one activity. As I've said, for every activity, pick one. So you can have one problem brought by different activities, but one activity should not bring more than one problem in your responses. So every activity link it to a problem. Yeah. So continuous use of herbicides reduce soil fertility due to killing of soil living organisms by the herbicide. That's one way. Another person can say, due to altering of soil pH, which affected activities of living organisms, reducing the rate of decomposition and slowing down soil aeration. So that's another way you could explain how it brought about reduction in soil fertility. So implying that here, you choose the kind of problem that you're going to come about with. Implying that even when you are responding to how to overcome the problems, how to overcome, bypass these ones here. So how to overcome the problems, I should go back and see which problems did I have and now I address them. So if I explain the clearing of the vegetation in terms of strong winds, then my reforestation or afforestation or agroforestry should link to that. Now, meaning that even here, reforestation, that is one. So my reforestation may go to strong winds. Then my afforestation may go to controlling soil erosion. My agroforestry may go to reducing speed of running water. My afforestation may go to restoring habitats for wild animals, and so on and so forth. So you look at the problems you cited up there, and you should ensure they are the problems you're solving with the various activities you advise them to do. Someone is asking, so which one do I advise you to do? Please, you do the one where you feel you are strong enough to manage. So whether open or closed, you read it through and see. Which one do you think you can really generate the necessary responses? Yeah. So if you clearly know what to respond, the closed scenario becomes easy because you know the number of responses that you should have. That is for the closed because they'll give you the problems within the scenario. Then for the open, that is in case you are not so sure of the problems assessed to the other side, and then you want to take a dive here and there. So the open becomes a good one for you. Therefore, which one is best? It depends on how best you see yourself, what you can do. So focus on what you can do, read through the entire scenario, read both scenarios before you attempt, and choose which ones you can generate the necessary responses in their highest accuracy. Yeah, so that would be it. And we are still having part 2, but because of time, you're going to allow me to end here. So unless if there is a burning question, yeah, this one who is asking which one do I advise, I've responded to that. So I'm going to pick 2 or 3 people to give votes of thanks. So to ask any burning question you may have, and then we shall call it a day. Okay, I'll start with Bachi. You can unmute and ask if you have a question. Abel? Any person who is ready, you can unmute and
Okay, sir.
Hmm.
My question is actually going back to number 1.
Hmm.
There are cases like the scenario. Okay, like for this, you can take back to the number 1 of this same paper,
Hmm.
and I show you. Yeah, some just reading some small paragraph. Okay, sir, what I wanted to say, there are some scenarios whereby, like, they just bring it in such a way that they might tell you, like, identify, like, explain, like, the processes which were affected. But, okay, there are no, like, many ways, like, to relate. Like, these ones, they were bean
Like
plants
these
in...
ones, they were being planted in.
Who is that one? Okay. I don't think I've got your question right. But in case they ask you to identify the processes that were affected, then most of the times it's usually either affecting normal functioning or it is certain structures disrupted. So those ones are usually listings, so they may not be a big problem. So look at the parts which are being destroyed and then see what is the function of each of those parts. Then these are the processes that you will get. I hope managed to respond. Look, I'm seeing Shami. Shami, you can unmute now. Shami or Sarah?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sarah.
Okay, so my question is like in genetics when you're given the scenario, especially the sex linked disorders, yeah. See, and they've not given you the sex of the baby. So is it a must that still I should use the sex chromosomes, or here I'll just only use the alleles since I don't know the sex of the child?
No. You, as long as it is hemophilia, you use sex linkage.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Shami, for the last time, you can unmute and ask your question, otherwise I go to another person.
Mute and ask your question, otherwise I go to another person.
Good afternoon, teacher. For me, my question is, are you hearing me, teacher?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. You're also hearing yourself.
My teacher, are you hearing me? My question is, teacher, how can I improve my biology? Me, I've never got an A.
I think what we've been going through, try to sit down, get the
Going through,
right,
try to sit down,
try to get the details right, and then try to organize your work the way you've been reading it into responses that can hand you the results. Yes, Mulunji. Mulunji, unmute if you have a question. Okay, saying one person here with the hand up. Eliana, mute if you have a question.
Teacher, you say that if we have questions or if we want to give a vote of thanks, may I want to give a vote of thanks?
Oh, thank you.
Teacher, thank you for the lesson. It has been wonderful, interactive, and helpful. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for sparing your time to.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'll pick last two. Gordon. Gordon is not there. Mitch. Not there.
Yes, teacher.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Yes, Gordon. Good afternoon to you.
Only I just want to say thank you for the lesson.
All right. Thank you for attending.
I have really got some educative message that I never had about the responses. Then I am to ask that in case they give you activities that maybe they do when they are not they don't reach to 5, then what do you do? If you're to give the mitigations, you add on your activities that you see that affect people or
No. You stick to the scenario. What the scenario gives you is what you go with. Unless if it's open, but it's not open, you stick to the scenario. The problems in the scenario if it was this scenario.
So in case they are free, I only give 3 responses.
Only give 3 and respond to those ones.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
All right. Sharif. Sharif has gone, but he didn't show up. All right. Okay, lastly, Sasha Gloria, if you are there. Okay, I'll end with philosopher. If you are there, you'll be the one ending.
Yes, Master, I'm there.
Give us a closing prayer.
Master, I
Yes.
Master, I want you to show us some of the items that you had prepared for us, items 6 and 7.
Okay. All right. Okay, let me show them.
Yes.
So that we can screenshot. But I may not go through them because of time. So we're going to move very fast, screenshot very fast, then we move.
Oh, Master, I wanted to take the screenshots so that I can later.
That's what I'm saying. Screenshot very fast because it can take very minimum time.
Yes, I'm done with that one. Master, I'm done.
Now for the responses, I'm going to move first and go to the item 7. For the responses, you can try and then you can inbox them and I look at them. You can screenshot that also. That was item 7. So you can try them and then the inbox, I look at them and I'll give you feedback. All right. So I hope you've managed to screenshot so you can give us a prayer and we call it a day. Okay. So you allow me end the lesson here. Catch up next time.